I would again speak about two segments here. One is the insurance companies, and second are the insurance advisors or brokers. So, when we talk about the companies, certainly AI has started coming a lot into the picture. People who have started utilizing bots, where it's not an actual person calling you, it may be a recorded voice, and you mention whether you're the correct person they're speaking to. They mention, is it a good time to speak to you, and so on.
All right. And the article is about insurance being called a sunrise sector. So,
Correct.
all good and well and good, but what does this mean? That's where I want to start from.
Absolutely. So my name is Vaibhav Agarwal, and I am basically we work more as partners. My father and I. It's our organization. We run it under the brand name of Insurance Experts, and where we provide insurance advisory to people related to multiple companies and different products because that's a very confusing aspect. Number one in insurance. Secondly, also assist our clients in terms of their claims, etc, because that is where mainly things get stuck for people. And the real challenge, the real test of the policy is when the claim actually comes up.
What does it mean, the sunrise sector, and what does it mean for insurance?
Absolutely. Sunrise sector may probably, I would say it's a more of a metaphorical term. But yeah, insurance is quite a booming space right now with a lot of interest coming in, like all around. We see organizations in the space where a lot of investor money is also coming in. There are larger corporates becoming very interested in the insurance space, whether it be as an insurance company or it be as an insurance broking company, which is the advisory bit, and also with a lot of pick in things like social media, etc., and people going online. There are a lot of aspects which are happening, which are known as click insurances, where basically you are purchasing a product, and alongside that, something incidental to that. Say you're traveling overseas, and if you go to a Make My Trip, you'll find probably just you simply tick on that product, and you'll find that you can purchase the insurance from there as well. So I think with the rise of aspects such as this, secondly, a growing population with growing incomes, etc. So I think multiple factors like this are actually leading to a lot of growth in interest from people themselves. So that's been a strong reason for that.
For it being called a sunrise sector. So, are there any opportunities for people? For I don't know if you would like to talk about individuals or you just want to talk about businesses in the insurance space going forward.
Right. So, from what I understand, in terms of opportunities, you are talking about people who can get into insurance as a profession or as a business. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, so certainly there's a lot of opportunity. One very big reason also is that while there are the insurance space is full of agents, intermediaries, brokers, and all, there are very few among them who you can actually count on the fact that when you consult them or you're actually discussing with them, they'll know the fine print or they'll know the technicalities or how to get a claim done. So while the space is flooded with a lot of players, unfortunately, the quality has not risen up to that level. So somebody who comes from, like to give you my background, I had actually done law. As so with that kind of a field initially, and my initial interest, of course, came from the fact that my father was in it. I used to keep discussing at times, and it seemed like a sector which was of great interest to me. But a lot of my interest built up when I started working because of the entire fine print which used to be there. Because you eventually realize the claims which get rejected, accepted, or a lot of technicalities when you're dealing directly with the insurance companies also eventually boils down to the fine print.
This is a very important point that you've brought up here about awareness, generating awareness, and ensuring that people know what they're doing right.
Right.
So, do you think AI, and I'm sorry, I'm just moving a little away
No,
from
no,
the
please,
main
please,
topic, but
please.
do you think AI is going to play a greater role, or is it already playing a greater role in the insurance sector?
Absolutely. So right now, I would say I would again speak about two segments here. One is the insurance companies, and second are the insurance advisors or brokers, wherever we talk about. So when we talk about the companies, certainly AI has started coming a lot into the picture. Maybe people don't see it actively, but even in basic things like when a person receives a renewal reminder in terms of a call, there are people who have started utilizing bots where it's not an actual person calling you. It may be a recorded voice, and you mention whether you're the correct person they're speaking to. They mention is it a good time to speak to you, and so on. So while I'm sure with the AI space growing itself, insurance itself could start making greater use of it. But there's a lot of data analytics which is being used by companies, or AI which is being used by companies directly right now. In the insurance broking or advising space as well, I would love to see that come into the picture right now. But I feel currently I have not seen as much. Maybe people may be informally using something like a chat GPT and so on. But when it comes to real usage in terms of what activities are executed on a daily basis, I am sure the space could make a lot more use of things like AI.
So what I hear is they're talking about regulations, that there should be better regulations, there should be better awareness, there should be more clarity, right?
Right, not just regulations. I'm saying even within the existing regulations, there are products which are being sold where the customer understands it at a very superficial level. And there might be two products which, on the face of it, seem to have identical features. But when you get into the fine print, you realize that, okay, this feature was there in both, but one worded it with a lot of restrictions, and the other was much more open to how that coverage could be taken.
Right. So, just out of curiosity, what are the options that a layman has? Let's say I'm going to pick a health insurance, let's
Correct.
say, and I don't understand law, right? And I don't understand that very jargon heavy language, which
Right.
is usually in a document, and it's very boring as well. What
Correct.
options do I have? Like, who can I get in touch with? And if somebody is misleading me, how can I figure that out? And basically, how to protect myself as a consumer again. So, not just me,
Absolutely.
actually, a business as well. Let's say a small business. So
Absolutely.
what can it do?
Absolutely. So what happens is, see, eventually a lay person may not be able to, of course, go through the entire set of policies, etc., because they have a lot of jargon and all, like you correctly pointed out. But one thing at least most people can do is that there are usually concise forms of that. One is a policy wording, which may be like a 20, 30-page document. Companies usually may also have a brochure or a basic presentation, which at least you can sort of independently verify beyond what the person advising you is sharing. That is number one. Number two, one very important aspect, and that is the role I believe we also play, being in the sector, and that is a kind of responsibility you have to do it with, is that have a proper advisor in place. Because somebody who's doing it day in, day out, and as long as you trust their technical understanding and what they're speaking, that is a very important aspect, because the person would not have just seen it theoretically, because theoretically some things may look great, but also how things have played out practically. Even something as basic as choosing an insurance company with which to go with. A lot of times people simply may go online, check, okay, this is the premium which is coming, and this is the claim ratio, and so on. But practically, you realize there are great companies in the market whose intent is to try and settle every customer's claim, provided, of course, it falls within the scope of the coverage. And there are others at the same time, while they may be settling a lot of claims, but wherever possible, at the slightest opportunity, they may try and look out for reasons why it could be denied, rather than it being the other way around.
I would like to bring you back to the original topic, and that is
Mhm.
that is insurance as a sunrise sector. And I was reading that the insurance regulator aims at 100% coverage over
Correct.
the next few years. And I wanted to understand, like, is that possible? Is that a realistic goal? What are the challenges that can impact the achievement of that particular
Absolutely.
goal? Yeah.
Absolutely. So when we look at it right now, I think the last set of statistics which I had read, and when we are talking mostly in terms of the penetration, people as well as the regulator right now is talking more in terms of the basic retail products, maybe like a health insurance or a life insurance. Of course, the focus should go beyond that, but maybe for the scope of discussion, I'll keep it limited to that right now. Uh, it is certainly a very desirable goal, and certainly it is very, very important for every person, be it a person who's earning, well, irrespective of the income bracket, irrespective of what they do. These are products which are actually financial products meant to prevent you from sort of falling into financial distress, of course. Because once a person has paid premiums for 5 years, 6 years of their lives, and they see their claim is not being paid or it's getting rejected due to wrong advice which was received or due to misinformation or mis-selling which was done, then that person also becomes disillusioned and he tells everyone around them. And maybe that's the only example of insurance having come into play in the lives that they've seen. So what happens as a result is maybe in the short term, people took up that insurance, but it was of no use. So our eventual goal should also be not just to reach that target, but to reach that target in a manner where people are effectively and properly insured. That is the bigger goal, I would say, which one should target for.
Very, very important, I think. Another thing, and this is the last question, I promise.
Or as many, there's no problem.
Yeah, so the last question is that insurance is also used as an investment tool.
Right,
Could
right.
you tell me more about that and the viewers more about that?
Absolutely.
So recently, I'm just gonna stop.
No problem.
Yeah. It seems like it's just entering my house. Yeah.
You're around Hogwarts and going to Hogwarts.
Yeah. Yeah. And despite having a lot of trees around, because they say, wood, I think, absorbs sound.
Yeah, probably.
The level of, yeah. Okay. So
Yes.
nonetheless, going back to where I was, so recently I've been having calls, that I should take a life insurance policy, which gives me a fixed return after a couple of years. And they invest partly in equities, I think, and partly in fixed deposits. I'm not sure if I'm using the right word. Could you
Right.
tell me more about that? And
Absolutely.
should people go for it or not go for it?
Absolutely. Correct. So when we talk about such products, these products are mainly dealt with purely by the life insurance companies, right? But what happens often is that people have taken such products and they feel very satisfied that, okay, our life is now insured. We have a life insurance. So I always, even to our clients, what we always suggest is, yes, there are in within life insurance companies, broadly speaking, there may be two types of products. One is what are called as a term plans, which are actually the products which will provide you a larger cover at a more reasonable price and will effectively cater to your family's financial needs. God forbid something were to happen to the person who's taking that policy. So when we talk about that objective, that is the primary objective of a life insurance. And that would certainly not be met if one is looking at the plans which are dealing with these investment aspects and all. So for that kind of a customer, the term plan, in fact, for every customer who has an income, that is the number one important thing when we talk about life insurance to actually cover. The other plans which you are talking about, those also, of course, because they are being dealt with by the life insurance companies, they also have a life cover within that. Having said that, usually that life cover is very minimal. So usually that may cover maybe say around maximum say 10 times of the amount that the person is paying per year as the death sum insured. So if somebody is accumulated a decent amount, say of 1 lakh per year also, and they're investing that, the cover they get is only 10 lakhs. And for somebody who's able to accumulate 1 lakh for their investment per year, I believe, and chances are that their income is likely to be decently higher comparing that. And 10 lakhs will not play a substantial role, particularly a few years down the line with inflation or growing incomes, to actually compensate for that for your family. So, yes, to answer that, yes, they may be good products, but more as investments and depending on the risk profile of the investor. So, yeah, say somebody is looking to invest in FDs, there are products which may be better than what an FD may offer, right? There are some products which may help you save more tax as compared to certain other instruments which are out there. So, product by product or basis a person's risk profile assessment, one should ideally evaluate whether it is suitable for them or not.
Well, thank you so much, Vaibhav. I think I've taken a lot of your time today. Okay, all right, lovely. Thank you for interviewing and for giving me your time today. And
You're most welcome. I hope it adds some information to
it
whatever the.
absolutely does, trust me. I know what I was looking for and I've got it. So thank you so much for that.